So, it's ending. That's pretty much gonna be the biggest criticism I have for Bojack Horseman Season 6. Second biggest being that I have to wait until the fucking end of January for the second half of it. What am I gonna do in that time? Eat, sleep, shit, go about my life as normal? What the fuck do you expect me to do with that time, Netflix? Why do you do this to me? But still, I'm not sure if the fact that Bojack Horseman had to end at some point actually counts as a criticism, because by ending it now, it's gonna go out as one of the most consistently brilliant TV shows ever made. It's gonna hurt. By fuck is it gonna hurt knowing that I'm not gonna get a new bundle of episodes every year, but I suppose in the long run, I am glad that Bojack Horseman's going to exist as this completely perfect little bubble of television. The deep and personal connection that people have with this show makes it matter so much more to its fans, so I guess it's only right that it bows out on a high rather than continue on until it's run out of ideas like The Simpsons has, cause that would be even more painful than ending it now. Still, at least we got a sort of semi-spin-off to keep us occupied, and oh, no, we don't anymore. Damn. Anyway, so Season 5 was so unspeakably heavy that I spent at least 3 months afterwards in a depressed stupor. It was easily the darkest point in the show, and while I was anticipating Season 6 to get darker still, because, you know, Princess Carolyn adopts the baby for the wrong reasons, Mr. Peanutbutter continues his repetitive cycle of damaging relationships, and I was expecting more of a focus on Bojack's past as he enters rehab, but I was pleasantly surprised to find Season 6 Part 1 has a bit more warmth, hope and light to it, and it offers signs that Bojack is actually starting to learn from his mistakes and figuring out how to improve as a person, and that Princess Carolyn's starting to figure out how to get to grips with motherhood and have a bit more balance in her life. And Diane seems to have entered into a relationship with a decent guy who seems to get her and has her best interests at heart, and who'll hopefully be able to help her through her depression in the second half of the season. It's really nice watching Bojack try and put his life back together. And that scene where him and Mr. Peanutbutter are at the museum doing the crossover episode was so heartwarming and wonderful, and oh god, it's a trap, isn't it? That's why they've separated it into two halves. Part 1 is the warmth, hope and light part, and part 2 is going to be gnarly, bleak and miserable, isn't it? Oh god, it's going to make me feel like shit again, isn't it? That appears to be where they're going with Season 6, and if so, then mission accomplished, because Part 1 successfully lulls the viewer into this false sense of security before hitting you with the cliffhanger episode that follows up on people that Bojack's hurt, and teases that lots of the stuff that Bojack's done is about to finally come to light. And the story of Bojack's redemption over the course of this half of the season isn't anywhere near over yet. You think Bojack gets to just make amends with some people and grow as a person and that's it? He's fucking ruined quite a lot of people's lives and never given them a passing thought since. It's not that easy. Bojack spends this half of the season trying to glide into the role of responsible adult that he played on Horsing Around, and he finds he likes that a lot. Without the alcohol, he can actually analyse his actions, atone for his past, and make things better. By looking through his past and seeing how internalising this idea that alcohol was the only way he could connect to his parents, and how alcohol has had a negative impact on his life, he can finally start to move forward. He can support his friends, give good advice, treat people with respect and dignity, and go as far as to inspire a social movement for Hollywood assistance as this sort of allegorical rejection of his former self who would have just treated people like shit because it was easier. I particularly loved this moment from the first episode where he's bought into Jameson's bullshit story about her dad, and he's supported her seething resentment for a moment because of his own troubled relationship with his father. But then he has this moment with Jameson's dad and he sees that her story was bullshit and it was all her way of deflecting and not looking inwards and working on her own problems. Which is exactly how Bojack himself has behaved over the course of the entire series. And he does still behave this way to some degree. He completely ruins Dr. Champ while sober, and ruining him while sober makes him finally see the damage that his carelessness causes to the people around him. And that had to happen in order for Bojack to get better. And that sucks, doesn't it? Dr. Champ shouldn't have had his life fucked up, but Bojack needed to fuck up the life of a well-meaning stranger in order to get better. Yes, Bojack's learnt a lot about himself, and he started behaving in a healthier way, ditched the alcohol, he's being more responsible, he's there for his friends now, but there's so much to atone for, and so many people who've essentially become collateral damage in his path to a place where he can truly heal, and Dr. Champ is another one, and it sucks so much that that had to happen, and it's not certain that Bojack's even going to be able to handle all of the confrontation that's coming his way now. This is all perfectly set up in episode 8, where we brush all of our main characters to one side and just focus on some characters who were here for a while, fucked over by Bojack, and then totally forgotten about. Kelsey's career stalled because of Bojack and she was never seen again after season 3. Gina's never been the same since the incident at the end of season 5, and she's been infected with Bojack's problems, as illustrated by this scene containing the series' one rationed usage of the F word. That and the ending with Pete from Escape from LA talking to Hollyhock about Bojack was fucking jaw-droppingly clever. Ever since that episode, the series has been so focused on the thing that Bojack almost but didn't do with Penny that we've been perfectly misdirected from the thing that Bojack did do that night to a bit character who was here 1 minute and then never seen again. And he's had this entire life off screen dealing with trauma over something that the audience barely even remembers because we spent the rest of the show being pointed away from it. And there's so much shit that Bojack's done and gotten away with since that we've probably all forgotten about.
Because at some point, I realized it wasn't the alcohol's fault, or Maddie's fault, or my fault. It was just some shitty dude, you know?
Totally.
That is the crucial line from this half of the season, and it's the best indication of where we're going. This line has filled me with more dread and terror than most horror movies, because this half of the season was mostly so warm and wonderful that I'm now picturing season 6 part 2 being even darker than season 5, and the show bowing out on a scene of Bojack stood on the edge of a bridge about to jump off just like his hero secretariat did, because... wow. Fucking wow, this moment was like being punched in the stomach. So far as tension goes, episode 8 of season 6 part 1 is a phenomenal work of evil genius. The Mr. Peanutbutter storyline also appears to be setting him up for failure, because while on the surface it's a satire of people in the entertainment industry seeing depression as an angle to take on their celebrity image rather than a terrible thing that people genuinely struggle with, there's also this instinctive fear that Mr. Peanutbutter has of being found out and revealed as a fraud, that's reflected in this new lie. Mr. Peanutbutter can't live with lies. He confesses he cheated to Pickles, and he confesses that he's not really depressed to Joey Pogo. Honesty is a core part of his personality. The fact he didn't even want to become the face of depression and it was Princess Carolyn pushing him into it adds even more fuel to the fire, and it will just cement his feeling like a fraud. And you can just tell that the second half of the season is going to be a massive game changer for him. Maybe this fear of being found out is going to exacerbate a mental decline for him by having to pretend he's depressed when he doesn't think that he is. His relationship with Pickles is probably destined to fall apart as well. Sure, in theory it may seem like her having sex with his good friend Joey Pogo is going to be her getting even with him for cheating, but what if she does that and finds it doesn't work? And also, how has all this cheating affected Mr. Peanutbutter's view of Pickles? He's acting fine with Pickles going off and fucking loads of men, and he's fine with being alone. What if Pickles does this and he still feels nothing? He doesn't feel hurt by it? Because what if he doesn't actually feel anything for Pickles at all, because he's just not capable of deep emotions? Mr. Peanutbutter is a fraud, and what if his relationship with Pickles being based on fraud is what's going to make him realise that? On the surface, the Mr. Peanutbutter angle may seem hopeful. I love the surprise episode where it plays the drama and revelations of cheating as a straight farce, and you do feel optimistic watching Mr. Peanutbutter and Pickles trying to work through their problems, and they're so desperate to make a go of it. But if you strip away the jovial and upbeat tone that their conversations are written and delivered with in these episodes, their relationship is quite openly broken, and it's only a matter of time before they realise that, and it's going to hurt a lot when they do. When it comes to Diane, I'm not quite sure about her yet. I think Guy's a great addition to the series, and they play off each other really well in the feel-good story episode, the conclusion of which is both hilarious and reflective of what's going on with Diane at the moment. So she thinks she's made a massive breakthrough and found out that the CEO of White Whale Industries callously murdered one of his own employees, but he freely admits this. And then it turns out that it's now legal for billionaires to murder people, so it doesn't matter. Diane was so invested in her case, she thinks she's doing groundbreaking journalism and she thinks that she's got what she wanted, but it's actually nothing. And the story is just empty and pointless. She's then just handed a book deal writing personal essays, and the deal was shockingly easy to get. This is every writer's dream, and she's still not happy. She's finally going out with a guy who seems to get her, and she's still not happy. She had this breakdown in season 4 about how now she's leading this luxurious life and she's still not happy. But this life that she's leading in season 4 isn't her. She is openly kidding herself that this is what she wanted. But this life that Diane's leading in season 6, this is her. This is entirely her. She's got what she wanted and she still feels empty. I mean, I'm more optimistic for Diane than Bojack and Mr. Peanutbutter because Guy seems genuinely decent and will hopefully be a positive influence on her life, but her journey through this depression is gonna be difficult. Todd's another one that I'm not sure about yet. While he has the sweet story of him and his stepdad reconnecting over trying to get his kidney back for his mum, the ending, as his stepdad says, is pretty cold. But the thing is, as he states, he is genuinely happy leading his chaotic, messy and disorganised life. But Todd does this while pushing his family away. It's almost like he lives a similarly dysfunctional life that drunk Bojack lives, and yet by contrast, he revels in it. It's not a problem for him. But how has it affected his parents, and how is it going to affect Princess Carolyn's daughter, who he now has a lot of responsibility for? A child's life is not a wacky adventure that he can just move on from when he gets bored of it. To go full fanboy conspiracy theory here, I think Jameson from the opening episode may be an indication of the direction we're about to go in with Todd. Maybe his parents did actually want what was best for him, but he's the one who ran away and constructed this narrative that they're cold arseholes who are out to get him because that makes him feel better about reveling in his dysfunctional, chaotic lifestyle. This might not be right, but I'm missing a fair few elements of Todd's story and have been for a while now. The character I'm fairly confident about going forward is Princess Carolyn, and her storyline is easily the sweetest in the show's history. And it's so nice to have a sweet story arc in Bojack for a change. Her focal episode, The New Client, can be quite annoying, but the annoying audiovisual stylings are an important thing to push her character through. The episode takes a lot of cues from the surreal humour stylings of the tragically cancelled Bojack semi-spin-off Tuca and Bertie, which, while I'm on that, Jesus Christ, sort yourselves out, Netflix. This cancellation wasn't fair and it still hurts. I'm so glad that Princess Carolyn works through this, because it would have been so much heavier for her to come to the conclusion that she's not fit to be a parent. That's a lot heavier than anything else because there's a child involved, and The New Client is a difficult episode, but by being so annoying, miserable and tiring, it provides an amazing catharsis when you get to that ending where Vanessa Gecko offers Princess Carolyn the new perspective that she needs in order to become the mother that she wants to be. So yeah, if this is the ending that Princess Carolyn ends up getting, and if, as is being hinted at, that she and Judah end up getting together, I'm going to be over the moon about it. At least that's one bright spot that I can see in the dark clouds looming over Season 6 Part 2. So yeah, Season 6 Part 1 is a bit different to before, and it's easily the most fun that any run of Bojack episodes has been, but by splitting it in two, it's inspired this creeping sense of dread in me, and it's made me feel a way I've never felt before about an upcoming run of a TV show. I'm really fucking impatient for Part 2, but I also fear Part 2 at the same time. I want to watch it more than anything else in the world right now, and yet I almost don't want to watch it because what the fuck is it going to do to me? I don't know if I've said this before, but if not, I'll say it now. The close and personal relationship this show builds with its viewer can make it quite dangerous. I have no doubt in my mind that the final episodes of Bojack are going to be masterpieces, but if the direction that this half of the season is hinting at turns out to be true, then fuck, I don't know if I can handle this. Most of the time when I'm scared to watch a show's finale, it's a fear that it might suck. This is the first time I've gone into a show's finale knowing it's probably going to be great, but scared that it might actually be psychologically damaging.